Aloha. I am Deb Asara Hart, and this is Primrose. Introduce yourself.
Aloha, I am PrimRose Lehualani Harris.
Mm, I love it. I love that you shared all of that. And we're back. That's what I want to say. We're back. We took a little hiatus. Yeah. Little growth. Little going within.
Deep diving, had to help save the community in layers, right? We were in service a lot. That's why as well. But we're back. We're back and we're ready to deep dive more. And I think just help in this way of who we are and what we do.
Yes, absolutely. And there's, oh my gosh, I know the series is going to be so long because there's so many oils and so many different energies to talk about and everything that's happening within the body. But we felt like today, because of where we're at on the planet, because of so much that's coming up to the surface for healing, we thought talking about grief and fear would be really important. And we just talked briefly about, wow, there's so much to talk about with each of these emotions.
Mhm.
Should we do a separate video? But there's so much overlap with them
Yeah.
that we really felt like we're going to do one video. One video, several of the oils really work for both,
Yeah.
and the emotions are intertwined. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I want to, because we have not been online in a while, I want to remind you, I wanted to do a really deep dive with Primrose because she's incredible. She's incredible with the way that she communicates with the spirit of the oils in a way that I wasn't, and probably still at a level that I don't. And I really wanted to do a really, really deep dive with her to learn more. And I thought, you know what? I can't be the only one that wants to deep dive into this. So we are blessed that Primrose agreed to do this together so that all of you can learn with me. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And aloha.
Hey. Hi. And I'm learning too, because I learn from Deb all the time. It's like when we're able to do our own work and then we link back up, it's something else sparks or it triggers something else for me to personally be like, oh, that was a great moment there, or I gotta go and check that out. So I am just grateful, like she had patience for me as well to say, oh no, when you're ready, we're gonna jump back on there. And that really helped me to level up more in my journey, right? And especially from what the topics that and the emotions related to what's happening in the overall world today down to our own personal lives. I think it's very, very important when working with essential oils, you use them for yourself first, right? Like there's no way I would be able to talk about it if I'm not walking about it, if that makes sense, where
Yep.
I'm not using it on myself or in my day-to-day life and experiences. So
Yep.
I am grateful that Deb held that space for me to go and malama myself, my ohana, my community throughout these years because we're in 2026 now, and I'm pretty sure we took a break for some years, right?
2 years.
Yeah, like a few years on this. So to go from the past to where we are now to just catch everyone up on that area, we were out there really doing our kuleana,
Yes.
and serving ourselves and the community, our ohana. And sometimes that's why we need to say wait for a certain moment so we can jump back in and
Yes.
be able to serve more. So I'm excited too because this
Yay.
helps me to capture all the juice as well, like
Yeah.
sometimes when Deb and I do have these like deep dives, it's like, whoa, that was some good moments, and like wishful thinking that we had a camera rolling to remember what we said when we said it, all of that.
Amen.
So this deep dive is a treat, I think, for us both to learn from each other like this and also to be able to help others
Yes.
um, through that process. Yeah.
Yes. And I
So
want to
I'm excited.
reiterate or go back to something. Were you going to say one more thing?
Yeah, I'm excited to just continue and start this journey again with
Me
all
too.
that we
Me
have.
too, sister. Me too. I wanted to go back to something you just said, and it was us doing our individual journey, whether it's going within and getting really quiet and growing, going out and doing our kuleana, but then we come back together. This is why it's so important to have community and to be with like energy. It doesn't mean every single person, every family member, is going to be on your exact journey because we're all in a different space and place, but it's important to have that community where we're gathering our information, we're up leveling, we're doing what we need to do, and we come back together, we're sharing those codes
Mhm.
and learning from each other, or I should say remembering, because we already know all this. We're just awakening it within our DNA. So it's
I love
important.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love what you just said too, remembering. I was able to watch a podcast interview with Auntie Kekuhi and the Kanaka Ole Ohana was being interviewed. And this Ohana, they come out from Hilo and they're very they're firm in our culture and it's a lifestyle generations back and in that consciousness of what we talked about off camera about making sure to quantum to 100 years right ahead and making sure to think that far in advance on what does the future look like and what is our kuleana right to leave it and to plan it for that and their ohana is so big in the Kanaka Hawaii realm and just worldwide in hula that everyone always asks them, oh, what is their legacy? What is their grandmother's legacy, great grandmother's legacy? And I think she summed it up really, really well, or both of them, and how they spoke was our kuleana is to help people remember who they are, remember, because it's all within us, right? And to not let um so many things in this world really put a shield on you or navigate that natural path that was naturally yours or connected to aina, right? Or connected to land, connected to nature, connected to plant medicine, which is obviously our identity as well and who we are. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful you said that because that is such a huge thing. Like I really want people to take while listening to our deep dives is this is all like us remembering who we already were like generations back, past lives, all the things, and it's us uncovering things that may have um put us in that position of forgetting or going off track a little or not having access to it, such as essential oils, plant medicine, right? That was once upon a time what our ancestors only could have back in the day is living off of nature. So it's that remembering. And that is what each of these oils help us do when we partake in it, whether it is aromatically, topically, or internally. It triggers certain things, right? Like how you were saying the codes, it triggers it to say, oh my gosh, that's why I was feeling that way. Or oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I didn't even heal
Yeah.
a piece of this and that compounded to this. And so I wanted to highlight that and share that because as we go into this first right episode and topic of grief and fear, you're gonna open up those layers for us to deep dive about this journey of remembering, right?
Yes, for
Thank,
sure.
thank
Absolutely. So I think a good place to start, and it's gonna sound silly, is to talk about the symptoms. And the reason why I really wanted to bring this up is sometimes we don't even know what we feel. Like, for instance, anger. We're really angry about something, but underneath anger is always sadness. Always. So I just wrote a couple of things down. So to start with grief, some of the symptoms of grief: shock, anger, fear. which is what we're going to talk about next. See how these overlap.
Mm-hmm.
Insomnia, nausea, weight fluctuations, all of that. And then fear symptoms. A lot of them are symptoms of the sympathetic nervous system being activated, meaning you're ready to get into fight or flight. And it's rapid heartbeat, trembling, sweating, maybe not even diaphoretic, but just sweaty because your heartbeat has gone up, shortness of breath, nausea again, dizziness, intense anxiety. So those are some of the symptoms of fear. And yeah, maybe I'll just leave it at that. I was going to add a little bit more, but I think I will just leave it at that. So I want to just, before we dive into a couple of the oils, or it might be more than a couple. I have a feeling it's going to be more than a couple. I want to talk about why this is so prevalent right now. And again, if you're watching the 6 o'clock news, then what I'm about to say is not lost on you, right? You turn on the news and there is, let's just say, craziness happening across the planet in every single walk of life, in every single corner of this country. I mean, this planet, not country. It's crazy. Craziness is happening. And this is all about our shift. This is our shift in consciousness. And we have to release all this lower density, these lower frequencies that have been hanging out on the planet. That's why you're seeing the e-files that have all come out. That's not new. It's coming up to be seen so that we can acknowledge it, not repeat it, and live in a higher frequency. But a lot of this is also stimulating sadness within us. So as the light quotient, let me just back up just a second and say, I was listening to Stefan Burns this morning. He's an astrophysicist and a geologist, and he's quite awake. I kind of use that word loosely because it's like, well, what are you awake to? But spiritually, I'd say that he's quite spiritually connected. And we've had 2.5x class solar flares in the last 24 hours, multiple earthquakes for I think it's the 44th time Kilauea is going off again. We had just had a big earthquake in Japan. There are multiple CMEs that are being released from the sun as we speak right now. So all of this is creating an event where we're bringing in all of this higher frequency down from the great central sun through our sun, and you see all that activity with the coronal mass ejections and the solar flares. If you don't know what I'm talking about and it's interesting, look up Stefan Burns. He's really, really dialed in. But it's coming through our sun down into our bodies, and it's helping us. It's like walking in the kitchen in the middle of the night with a flashlight and you see all the roaches pop up. This light is shining in our body, and it's bringing up all the density we're holding.
Yeah.
And some of that is fear and grief. So those are the oils that we're going to talk about today, and how we can assist in settling that process and bringing our bodies back into balance. One of the things, there's two things that I want to speak on really quick before we jump over to the oils, probably a little more with PrimRose, is fear. So a lot of the planet is living in fear. And that's really connected to our root chakra, the chakra at the bottom of our spine, our base chakra. And when we're in a heightened state of fear, so I was hearing this not that long ago, that like animals out in the wild, let's say that an animal is being chased by a tiger and they go into fight or flight, and because they need to save their life. After that event, they go back to homeostasis. They don't stay in a heightened state of fear and fight or flight for the remainder of their life. But we have things coming from so many different directions that it's just constantly stimulating us. So a lot of us are literally living in that state all the time. And it's a complete imbalance to the entire body. It causes the adrenals to be really taxed, and
Mhm.
it literally affects your entire chakra column, your energetic column, because it's the foundation. So there's that. And then there's grief. And a lot of times grief is held in the lungs.
Mhm.
So that's affecting people having a lot of respiratory issues. So I just wanted to really briefly touch on that. Um, I did create an oracle deck, and I'm going to bring that up really quick at the end, but I don't want to do that yet because I want to jump into the oils because I feel like we've
The
given enough
oils
kind
are
of
in your
background.
oracle deck as well.
What?
The oils are in your oracle deck as
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it more at the end. This is my deck. It's being printed right now, so it'll be out in about 6 weeks, but it's already for sale on my website. Yeah, there's 63 cards, and every single one of them has a list of essential oils that could help bring that particular imbalance in your body back into balance. But at the end, I'll explain a little more about it because I don't want to take all that time away right now. So we can get into the specific oils for grief and fear. So,
let's do it. Are you gonna put up
Primrose,
your
what,
app?
where do
Are
you
you
want to
gonna
start?
have your app too? I think we can have our apps out for sure.
Yeah,
We use an Essential Emotions app. It's a lifesaver for us. It lets us
yes.
deep dive in so many ways. If you are a doTERRA essential oil person, this specific app is definitely aligned for you. If you have not heard about it for some strange reason, definitely get the app because they do have books, they do have tools on hand. But I feel
Yeah.
like, and maybe Deb will say her perspective of it, but I feel like they update the apps a lot more, and it's easier to just have the updates than needing to get the books over and over. You can still get it. I still get it too, but it's just more convenient, it's more easier, and it clicks like it hyperlinks in, so it lets you click from an oil to an emotion, from an emotion to a different emotion, from an oil to a different oil. And
Yep.
then it also has it actually has like body parts in there, and just like
Yeah.
what type of essential oils or emotional overview happens in the app. So yeah, see, that's why I didn't want to show it, because I have a background. So but it is called Essential
I got it up.
Emotions Plus.
Ah, it's hard to see, but I got it up. Ah, it's the light.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that before I do a session on anybody, I ask their higher self for what emotions would help bring them back into balance during the session with me. And I use those in my session. And I open up the Essential Oils app. This is not a commercial. We get nothing out of this. We're
Nothing out of
sharing
it.
nothing. We're just sharing these tools with you because, well, it was a game changer for me. And when I share, this is why your higher self wants you to use, is suggesting perhaps you use Lang Lang or frankincense or whatever it is. When
Mhm.
they read emotionally why, because it's going back to the emotion they're
Yeah.
carrying, people are floored at how it's like, whoa, that's exactly what I've been feeling or navigating.
Yeah.
Or, oh my God, I do that and I wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah.
So, come
And
on.
it's like a nice way to like let people see themselves through an area where, like you, as
Yeah.
you said, like listening to her higher self, being guided in her kuleana and what is her kuleana, and using this just as a tool. All of these are tools to help us remember who we are, malama who we are, like really take care of who we are,
Yes.
and then help others to do the same. Because like what Deb was sharing earlier,
I'm letting
there's
my cat in, so keep talking.
okay, yeah, there's so many things happening in the world right now. And so as she was talking about the lower densities coming up, there's so many perspectives from all different areas around the world that is really showcasing like, hey, you need to really like, now is the time for us to malama ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to walk the talk, to make sure to not just take care of ourselves, but taking care of ourselves naturally will help take care of the planet, and naturally
Yes.
will let us continuously add higher vibrations to the planet, abundance, right? Because really, if you have like an emotional chart where it shows like where the emotions are from the bottom, and then when you work it up, and kind of like what Deb was saying, the root chakra all the way up to your higher chakras, right? If that's all in a great alignment, you'll be able to tell from yourself. You'll be able to move differently. You won't be so worried about other people. You're more so mindful of yourself.
Yes.
You're able to listen a little bit more to like, oh, what's that feeling that I have within me, you know? So talking about fear and grief, that's why, and the oils that I want to jump
Can
into.
I add one more thing to what you just said?
Yes.
Also, I think what's really coming into my heart right now is the fact that as each of us, when you were talking about going within, as each of us gets completely balanced in our emotions, we're all connected to the grid
Mhm.
here that of all of life on planet Earth. And for every one of us that gets into a place of complete balance, we're changing everything around us, literally, and
Mhm.
sharing that balance with every other walk of life. So it's
Mhm.
really a beautiful thing. As you heal yourself, you are helping everything around you.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to add that because it is really important.
Yes. And that carries on to like, you know, when people say, oh, when you enter a room, your energy speaks already for yourself. It's a ripple effect in that way. When I think about it in Ike Hawaii, it's like your essence speaks for yourself, your mana speaks for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell how someone is able to malama themselves in a very unique way. And fear and grief, actually any of the emotions, really, if you are more aware of it and conscious of it, that's where things like essential oils can come into play in a duality, whether you're aware and conscious of it or not. Because sometimes it's buried. Actually, most times when we're talking about fear and we're talking about grief, it's usually buried because most times what I say is like people don't want to give it a voice. So people don't want to feel those feelings if
Right.
it's too much, you know? And that's actually why I got into essential oils a lot, is because essential oils is why I called my business after it, Besties in Bottles, because it becomes a natural healer for yourself in ways of sometimes you don't want to talk about your fears. Sometimes you don't want to talk about your grief because it opens up wounds that you may not be able to handle. And most times, not many people run into just someone in their everyday life like Deb or like myself, where we're just like, hey, how's your energy? You know, or talking in that language or verbiage, right? Or in that mindset. And so most time people are on autopilot, unfortunately.
Yes.
And sometimes you need to be able to get off of that. Actually, most times you got to get off of that in order to really see who are you? Like, who are you? Who are you at your identity? What is your core of you? And now remembering, like going back to that word, remembering, right? So essential oils helped you remember what was already in your DNA codes, what was
Right.
already in your bones, what was already in your ancestors. And now when I think about essential oils, I don't think about it as essential oils, the oil inside the bottle. I think about it in a lineage. I think about it of the essential oils that we have here from doTERRA. That's the final product of what was made. But when you take it back to its origin, the hands that made it, the land that it was prepared from, the plant of it itself, the mo'olelo and the history of that plant or that tree before it became this bottle. And to learn more about that, and this is something I really want to share for people like this who is so fascinated about Aina or is in that deep cultural perspective or indigenous perspective as well, and honors genealogy. doTERRA has this type of history and wisdom on their page, because it's all they care about things like that, which is why this essential oil I have always chosen, because the purity that goes through each of these oils, the potency of it. And it's not just the oil itself, it's the richness behind when we talk about essence, or when we talk about your presence when you enter. It's the richness that the founders went through above and beyond to make sure the plants that they're getting is coming from the people of that land and the hands that malama those lands before doTERRA came in and entered in, which when we think about remembering, right, that's the power behind these essential oils. You're not just getting, oh, it's just an oil in a bottle. No, you're getting the ike, the history of that land, of the people of the land, the essence of it, that natural purity and reciprocity. And when it comes into you, if that purity helps you become more pure and heals you in the ways of like many of us have gone through, where it's like, oh, this is different, you know, it's not just an oil, it comes with so much more than just an essential oil mindset of that plus everything of who you are as your own identity makes these essential oils work. And I say that a lot because for me, when I think about fear and I think about grief, I think about how that creates depression and how that also creates disconnection. And I immediately think about this, what I'm just sharing, and Hawaiian sandalwood or iliahi, because I am able to say an essential oil of this specific company comes from my own home. It is in Hawaii, and the people of that aina malama that aina to the fullest of their mokupuni, of their island, of their vaivai, abundance, their ola, you know, their life. It is also in the presence of other trees and other natural, amazing nature on that specific island that is of richness of ike kupuna as well. And they all need to intertwine. They all need to connect in order for us to have this specific oil from it. Like there's so much wisdom that has to go into this, and it's a huge co-creation. So
Yes.
that lets me say with essential oils, Hawaiian sandalwood. Now fear and grief, obviously across the board, we all can just pinpoint, okay, that's fear and grief. But how everyone goes through fear and grief is different, right? So I want to use a perspective of, for me, fear and grief, when I had fear, more so, it is connected to why am I fearful, or what is that fear? Is it internally I am in, like I have fear, or I am fearful of something external, right? So it's
Yeah.
understanding that perspective. Why I say Hawaiian sandalwood is because if I were to just be any essential oil person, I would look at it like, oh, you know, I have to constantly make this amount of customers and this amount of people to talk to and stuff, instead of removing that and go to the origin is I'm a student and teacher of the oils. And so to be a student and teacher of the oils, you must be a student and teacher of yourself, right? So to hear the word fear and grief, and as Deb shared, there's so much energetic things going on inside this world. It is best for one to master thyself before mastering other people, so that you can know what does that look like within you? What does fear look like within you? What does grief look like? So that's where I said fear. Okay. So my fear when I got into doTERRA was, oh my goodness, my friends are in this other essential oil companies. That was an external, really. That wasn't really an internal. It was more of a I I know it's a reality. My friends are in this other essential oil company. So coming from a business perspective, you already know, oh my goodness, we have, to build up a business in some sort of way, you need what? Customers, you need business partners. But if all of us are in the essential oil realm, oh no, that can create some fear. That is a different type of fear because that is definitely created through an external, I will say, because it's not really like, oh, I'm just fearing out over here. It's like, no, we're all in that realm or inside that category. We're all here to serve, but we may not be in the same company, right? So then there could always be a little bit of a drift in there. So I share that because that's a more mild perspective of fear, but it's a fear inside what the experience was. But what made me overcome that to still be like, oh, I don't care, and I'm gonna continue on doing what I'm doing to where I am today. And it's like, no, this is a forever thing. And specifically with this company, is because of what I just shared, is because I know me. I know who I am and why I serve or do things in the ways that I do. And I am a proud to be Hawaiian person that understands and values the depth of elements and what comes with elements, what comes with the aina, what comes with the kai, what comes with the mona, all of those things. And all of these pieces of what I just shared came into play. So that fear, okay, that fear override, right? It took me that essential oil for me to be able to be like, check one. Now, different perspective.
Iliahi? Are you speaking about
Yep.
Iliahi? Okay.
Iliahi
Hawaiian sandalwood.
Hawaiian sandalwood, which is sourced out of Mokuokeawe, the Big Island, and it has always been sourced out of there. And there are Kanaka Hawaii that also malama the plants up there, take people up there, right? And so it is so special for us to know that's what our kupuna is like. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is being able to be sustainable in ways like this. So it is deeper. So why do I bring that in? Because that's a layer of fear. Another layer of fear. How you heard that.
Primrose, can I
Mhm.
interject? I just want to point out why you've seen Primrose the way she is.
Oh,
I thought I
sorry.
better explain that her camera
Yeah.
and her computer are in two different directions.
So my camera is here, but I'm talking to Deb and
Yeah,
Deb's over here. So it's just a vibe right here.
yeah. I just wanted to
Sorry
explain
about
that.
that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And actually that was bringing it up. See how Deb calls me Primrose. Growing up,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
that was I was called majority Lehualani from a lot of my ohana. Primrose was more something when I go to school or something like that. And even then, some of the teachers still called me Lehualani or Lehua. And so that there was some fears there, and I share this because it did take doTERRA and Deb for me to
Mm.
fully equip and embrace the name Primrose, like just any old time. Usually in my ohana, there's only two people that normally call me Primrose. Other than that, I knew I went to school with you some way, somehow. So it took this depth of understanding, and once again, it comes back to who self is, right? And I knew, okay, Primrose was not always the name that every local person could pronounce. Lehua was totally easier, and it was just that vibe. And then vice versa. There's moments where I knew, okay, they's gonna butcher Lehualani or Lehua, Primrose is the name. But the depth of honoring the essence, and I'm coming back to this again because fear and sadness is what we let it to be within ourselves. It is created within ourselves. It is something that we also let be created, but it is also something that we may not consciously be aware that it was created. And that is what had happened for me with the primrose, and how I had to grow through that essence of acceptance and just giving it a voice. There you go. I wrote like really in a simple form, how do I help the oil? How does the oils help me? Is I'm able to take a moment, sit, listen, acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling this, and I'm able to use the oils to help me translate and transmute what all of that was. And I share this in the Primrose and the Lehua because that's where the oil rose came in. So if you look at fear in the app, right, it wouldn't share Iliahi and Rose. It wouldn't share that actually. I went and looked at it. It wouldn't share, oh, this is the oils for fear. But I'm sharing this because now this comes into perspective, or we call it makavalu. So different perspectives,
And how
right?
about wisdom?
And wisdom is understanding
Yeah.
thyself, knowing thyself. So there's different layers of how you would approach um, emotions in general. But knowing that that fear, and now why I share both of that is because now that fear, both sides being fear, like having some type of fear that came externally, where I was able to like grow through that a lot more faster than the primrose one, which was internally, fear came from the root. It came from my own upbringing. So I'm connecting that to what Deb was saying, the root chakra. Why is that? Is because how I was raised, I was born and raised to be proud to be Hawaiian, helped my uncle create his business, loved his business still. He's still rocking that out today, giving out his stickers and things like that. And it was called Proud to be Hawaiian. And another part of that, like I just said, he was a business person. His mindset was different in a way, and it like we're able to just roll through things like that a lot faster with understanding who are we and how do we approach in these areas, right? So that's where I explained two different ones, because coming into the oil realm and understanding, okay, my friends are inside that company and they're in the oil, it just go back to my roots where it's like, oh, that's business, oh, that's community, oh, that's just how it is. But who am I? And so if I focus on me and why am I in my kuleana, why am I doing this, that fear was nowhere to be, like it did not stay. It's not rooted inside me. Why? Because my roots of who I really was stronger than that, and understood like, no, that's just part of whatever the way it is, the lifestyle that it is inside this area. So don't let that pretty much punked me out, and it took me to the depth of understanding who doTERRA is and smelling the oils and knowing who I am, knowing how sensitive I am to energetic things, and being able to be like, oh wow, this oil made me feel this, oh wow, that oil made me feel that, and being able to call it out naturally, right? So that's an external, internal. Primrose area was internal and then external as well. But it was then more of an internal because how I was raised in my ohana. And so that depth of understanding and how my lifestyle was really, that one had to do more work. So why am I sharing this with you? Because we're gonna share a few oils. And that was two that I have to share with you guys, because if you are a wahine that wants to take your vibration more up, rose is definitely the oil. So if you're battling through fear and grief and you don't really want to acknowledge it, but you want to move through it, I would actually say use a lot of rose, because rose shifts the energy in a perspective where it takes you, it's a higher vibration. It's the plant alone is a high vibration. What the oil and how much petals they use to make
Yes.
oil as well. It's a whole different vibration. So I would use rose. Now, Iliahi, I would use that as well because then it grounds you. It is such a huge earthy oil. I don't know if you ever did you try the Iliahi or the
Uh-huh.
Hawaiian stuff?
Oh yeah, I used the whole bottle.
Yeah, it is definitely one that is like so sacred. You would love to just bathe in it. It
Love
takes you
it.
to the forest, it just makes you
Brewster loves
feel,
it.
yeah, it makes you feel like you are in the forest and that you are there and you are grounded and you're wrapped in that sacredness. So if you you may not want to acknowledge the fear yet, but you are aware that it's there. That is something I always suggest to. Sometimes people are not ready. It is what it is. So, but they are conscious enough to acknowledge, like, yeah, I have some fears, or yeah, I'm sad, or I'm grieving for whatever reason. And sometimes they don't want to talk about it. So yeah, I would use that as a wrap-up blanket. But one that is suggested, and that is in the app, is adaptive. And I do,
Before we move on to adaptive, can I just add something to what you
yeah,
said?
yes.
So it's you don't have to talk about your fears, but it's very important to deal with the emotion of it and to not leave it buried. So
Mhm.
Primrose is talking about helping to bring balance to that being in your body. It's important to do that because when we hold on to that fear, like I said, it keeps you in a heightened state of fight or flight and it affects your entire physical body, and you're going to start creating imbalances in your body that over time will then manifest as a physical dis-ease. It's very important to bring your body back into balance. So I just wanted to say that. You don't have to speak it out loud to somebody, but you do need to address it. It's
Yeah.
important to balance it. So back to you, Primrose.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too, because now we're going back to chakras, right? Which says the root chakra. And so if your root chakra isn't it kind of makes everything else a little bit like open for not being sustainable or not being solid in that area. And we all go through our own journeys,
Yep.
but like what Deb said, it comes to a point where you don't have to talk about it, and which is why I always love recommending essential oils as well, is because sometimes I don't even want to talk about it. Sometimes I just want to smell the oils, like I said, smell the flowers. Yeah, I'm smelling the flowers through essential oils, and it really, when it goes up through your neurotransmitters, it changes everything. And just like how you smell a cupcake, you can smell the oil as well, and it changes something
Yeah,
within
good
you.
point.
So I would like Deb to share the oil that she actually got guided to, and why,
Yeah,
because it's so interesting.
yeah, I actually have two that as yeah, when we move over to grief that I want to share. But so I asked my higher self, what is the one oil that we should not forget to talk about today?
Mhm.
Knowing that there were a number of oils that were already on our mind. As you know, we just jump in here. We're not rehearsed.
Mhm.
And it's Palmarosa. So I want to share what happened to my phone. Sorry, I got discombobulated when the cat kept trying to get in. Palmarosa. I just want to read at least the beginning of this from the Essential Emotions app because everything boils down to emotion that you hold in your body.
Mhm.
Emotional growth and maturity. Palmarosa strengthens the weary and heart. Like geranium, it possesses high geraniol content, which facilitates emotional honesty and the emergence of grief or pain been suppressed, that has been suppressed. It too softens strong emotions and assists in healing emotional wounds. However, as a fast growing grass, Palmarosa quickens one's emotional growth process, regardless of where they are on the journey through life. It assists in developing increased emotional maturity, expanded emotional intelligence, and sees emotional blocks more clearly. Wow. Wow. I mean, thank you, higher self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to add on a piece of that through that one that I found super
Yeah.
interesting on how it connects even more to what we're talking about, fear and
Yeah.
grief.
See if you can
So
start the.
Palmarosa is especially helpful for children or adults who are emotionally stuck at younger developmental ages. For example, a child may be emotionally stuck in infancy, or an adult may be trapped in adolescence. Emotional growth can be stunted by unresolved pain or trauma. So that connects to what we were both just talking about.
I love that.
in that part, and to know that one of the companion oils is the one that you're saying, lang, and lang is made to also assist inner child, which is why I started off with my own personal mo'olelo about fear
Yes.
and stuff, because this is where I was saying, like, it really depends on yourself, right? So what this is just recommendation, but when you really let it all be and get guided, like how we both were, to sharing what essential oils that we would choose and why. This is why for me, where it's just like, okay, see Pomerosa, what it does and how it connects to Lang, which I already knew for a fact that helps with inner child healing, which is at the root of the chakra, right? Root chakra is your like your first 7 years of life.
Yes.
So it
And
is,
I want to add that when we have a trauma early in life, we get emotionally stuck at that age.
yeah,
And that's where Palmarosa comes in,
yeah,
like you said. So I
yeah.
love that I love that you mentioned that. Thank you. Bringing
You're
those two
welcome.
together. Hmm.
Yeah, and knowing that those two, like, sometimes what is a huge thing that I find in essential oils is a lot of times people may have been on their autopilot so long that it didn't let one feel into the like neck down. It's more like they've been
Yeah.
in a headspace,
Yeah,
I
they're
would
not in their
say.
body.
Yeah, and so a lot of times before people can even get to that level of this depth of understanding, if they were just doing it on their own, if they wasn't doing it with the session with someone like Deb who opens up the fields around you, clears it, brings in the higher vibration, right? To let that process between her and another goes it quantums way more, and it brings us straight to the source, or straight to like what we need. A lot of times people don't live like that, right? And then they have to, when if they don't run into people like us, right, and they do it on their own. So this is where I'm sharing for different perspectives. If you're just doing it where you don't have someone to open up your energy fields, protect you, clear you, your smell may smell it different at first, meaning there may be too much up here happening to where something is fighting it or blocking it. It doesn't mean
Yes.
give up, it just means to be aware that if you're not more like conscious in your body as well, and like you don't know like the feelings of your body, then your mind may fight you. It may be one of those moments where it's not mind over matter. It is definitely mattering.
Yes.
And I say that because I've experienced that with so many people where, something would be suggested to this person, and then it's battling them, it's fighting them, and they would be like, oh my gosh, I don't like that oil. And it takes me into
Because they need it.
yeah, it's because they need it. And that's what I was going to say, because it takes me into what Boyd Truman says, and he is the creator of Symphony of the Cell. And Symphony of the Cell is a process in doTERRA that they use for the essential oils down the spine, on the feet, shoulders. They let it smell. And what he explains is normally when the oil and you are not companions at first, it's most likely because you need that one, but there's a whole list of things that may be blocking you from that. And that is the process of what we're sharing here
Yes.
today.
I
And
want
that
to
is that.
share. I want to share something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was on a medicine journey. This was about 2 years ago, and I was sniffing oils the whole time. And what an incredible time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw very clearly, I was so grateful that the medicine of the oils showed me this, is that when we've got, let me see how I put this into words. Let's say that you picked up an oil and you don't like the way it smells, or you pick up an oil and it smells different than it normally smells. like the whole bouquet isn't present with you.
Mm.
I was seeing that it's blocked neural pathways in the brain, that as you keep sniffing it, Primrose will sniff them for a really long time. Maybe you sniff them for 15 seconds. Maybe you sniff it for a minute. Maybe you've been sniffing it for 5 minutes straight. But there's going to become a time that all of a sudden that neural pathway is unblocked and the whole aroma or the whole bouquet of that oil will present itself and you'll smell it all.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
fascinating, really fascinating. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to interject that because I saw it so clear.
Yeah, no, and you're right, because when the neurotransmitters, right, you have to train them in a sense, right? So I love how you say smell them for a long time. Deb used to say that a lot. Actually, she's like, you can just smell them, like you just sit there and smell. And I will, and I do that.
I
And
think
she's
I used
laughing.
to
Oh no,
say, you're just making love to those oils
yeah,
because she was
yeah.
just sniffing, sniffing, sniffing away like 12 of them at once.
Yep, and I would. And it is really intriguing for me because I think about it, like I said, I'm very sensitive to energy and I can, yeah, that is a piece of la'au lapa'au for me, which is
I
plant
love it.
medicine in Hawaiian, and it's like it's feeling it, it's smelling it, it's being able to taste it in some sort of form if it's allowed, right? It's being able to just let it be in its presence and feel the natural vibration of the plant. And I say this because we did even call on like the plant spirits, because every spirit, every plant has a
We did.
spirit and is a connected, right, to that. So I smelled it majority of the time because it is really retraining your emotions. It is also firming some of your emotions. And so it goes into, for me, I think about it in strengths. So if you ever did your strength test or got a kind test, I think about it in that way. Essential oils can help you amplify your strengths and also can help you to calm them down or
Yeah.
put them away. So I think of emotions like that, where they're all of them are kind of they're me, when you really take a step back to realize, oh, that's all you, that fear, that anger, that like it may have some of them may have been created externally, but if it's kept within you and you feel it personally, then it's you. It's your personal um Juliana to make sure to get to know you. Even if it wasn't what you started off with, if you somehow accumulated it along the way, right? Or gained it along the way of your life, it now is you. Once you're conscious about it, once you can feel it, once somebody acknowledges, oh, you're this person, and like you really stop, think about it, all of that stuff, it really is you. So what does that mean? It means it's also you to be able to be like, oh my gosh, fear is not this whole big thing. I made my fear go on. I put more energy to this, or I didn't put energy to this to help Malama that. So I think about it like that because I'm the youngest of six, but I also was not raised the most normalist ways. So I think of grief more than fear because and not even think about it more in like a sorrow way. I have learned to translate and transmute what does fear and grief mean to me. That's a huge thing when it comes to essential oils because in the doTERRA world of essential oils, there is a privilege to learn from all different walks of life and the things that they're able to create with these tools. And so learning the Chinese perspective and ways of how they use the essential oils, knowing that every essential oil connects to an element. I got to learn that through the Chinese perspective, knowing that it helps the chi go up, helps the chi go down. Every oil also can be hot, cold, or warm. And that's like our body. And that's something in Ike Hawaii realm, a Hawaii perspective, as we are of the elements, essential oils is a piece of the elements when you really think about it, right? So when you think about fear, or when I think about fear and grief, I do like to approach it more in a, okay, what's happening here? Like, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? Oh, I'm feeling fearful because dot, 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 dot. Okay, you may see me with 4 oils. So, for example, after the fire, I always had tea tree on. Now, most people don't even like the smell of tea tree, which is why I always say mind over matter for myself, my perspective, because sometimes I do have to remove the emotions if I am in a kuleana of I am being of service already, and it is to a whole different level. But then also in the back end, I do have the tools that is like, okay, when you go home or when you're in your alone time and you have to make sure to rejuvenate yourself, you bring out all the other things that you need to do to help you malama yourself. But after the fire, tea tree was the #1 oil. Not only did I use for myself, but I also said for many of my other people as well that we are more sensitive or to understanding in a historic perspective of that fire and what it caused, how it shifted things on Maui, the energy was shifting. It was more, and the fear for me and why I chose the tea tree was because the spiritual ripple effect, the energetic things that were happening that was a little bit too eerie for me. The many different sides of the island shifting, the layers of
Yes.
from the top down, what was also happening. So the fear was not more so of a emotional, it was I could feel the spiritual side. So tea tree became a big piece of it. Why? Because tea tree is an energetic shield blocking. It is one to help with parasites to say, no, 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 you're not welcomed, all the things. So combining that with also the other things, I made sure to malama myself. Deb was definitely a piece of that as well, where it's like, yes, we have to serve, but like how we set ourselves first,
Serve
be
yourself
grounded
first.
in who we are. So
Yeah.
when it comes to fear and grief, we shared a whole different amount of oils, but as you can see, like our other ones that we shared and what we're probably going to keep saying moving forward is everything that we're saying is of wisdom for you guys because of the experiences of what we know and also what we read. But ultimately, these are suggestions for you to just if you need them. But the key thing here that her and I keep on repeating is knowing thyself and being able to go into a direction when using essential oils. Oh, I need to smell this because of this. Or, oh, this is calling to me. Okay, go and look. If you have an oil that was pulling to you, I think Deb had her moment of certain oils, and I was like, oh, I didn't even smell those oils in the way that she did. But she's on her own journey. And that was something that we also said multiple times is like, she's her own person, she's on her own journey. So some oils we may instantly be like, yep, this oil is like this for both of us. And then some she probably deep dives with them a little bit more or use them a little bit more than I do because of her own journey. And that's like an ultimate foundation on everything that I share about essential oils. Make sure to know yourself
Yes.
first because
Yes.
fear and grief, like what Deb shared, there's multiple layers of that. So we are just here of a library and just wanting to talk and share all the things that we know, but ultimately know thyself. That's what I got.
Amen. It always comes back to you. I had two more things that I wanted to share, just one each about both of the oils that you talked about. And one is rose. And I feel deeply that the reason why rose is so beneficial with fear, and again, you're not going to find this written online. You look for an essential oil that's going to assist you with fear. You're not getting rose is not going to come up. It's not going to come up in your app. It's not going to come up in a deck. But love, which is what the rose promotes, it's the most powerful healer, the rose, of all of the oils. And the red rose is the most powerful of all of the roses. It promotes self-love, and love is the opposite of fear. Even though it doesn't feel like it, you're like, no, hate is the opposite of love. And no, the opposite of fear is love. You cannot be in love and fear at the same time. And rose promotes love. So that's why rose helps. Also, sandal, talking about sandalwood and specifically Primrose Lehualani, said Iliahi, which is the Hawaiian sandalwood, but the trees in general, the reason why they really assist you in fear is that they help ground you. Think about a tree. Tree has really deep roots. It's going to ground you into the earth. And when you are connected to your earth mother, whether you admit that she is your mother or not, the earth, we are made up of all of the elements of the earth. Earth, carbon, water, fire, earth, air, water, and fire. Yeah, and then spirit, our soul. We are made up of the earth. And when we root and get really, really connected with her, we're sharing her energy.
Mhm.
And that's why the tree oils really assist.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that I brought that up because I thought that was an important point.
And that actually is the point on why I shared that, even down to the love.
Oh,
And because love is why Rose is that higher vibration of love, and love conquers all. And so when that's why I said, if you're not wanting to, okay, maybe there you have fears, like how I was saying, where that one was connected right to the external one of the business, where it's like, nope, just gonna go. It helps in that type of ways. And the name, like where it's like it wasn't a big deal, but it was a big deal in me becoming whole, which when you love yourself, right? Like when you
yes.
love all layers of yourself, you're
Yes.
whole. So a lot of times that's why I also said external to internal, because when it comes down to emotions within yourself, check yourself first to make sure, am I really feeling this? Is this something that
Yes.
was me, or like is something around me trying to make me feel like this? Because that's also real as well. And it's very good for you to understand your own energy and essence and self, so other people don't tell you who you are. Other people don't plan that out for you, which that also creates a lot of like this journey. Like if that's what creates a lot of fear and grief and stuff, is when we don't have sovereignty within ourselves to be able to say, no, that's not me. That's no.
And confusion.
Yep.
And when we're really clear in our own being, it's a lot less confusion.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, okay. Is there anything? Chamomile
Mm-hmm.
that eases stress. I was just thinking of anything else. Well, geranium, that's one other one that I wrote down. It releases suppressed emotions. And that's
Yeah.
what the Palmarosa also said. But the Palmarosa helps you to notice that you're holding them when you really don't know. But the part of the geranium family. So I don't know. Do you have any more on fear that you want to bring up, or should we move on to grief?
I think we should move on to grief, because I
Okay.
feel like it could stay forever. Actually, in both topics, we could walk away with this, but I feel like the grief is gonna tie in to
Yeah.
more of what we were saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for grief, did you have an oil specifically for that you wanted to touch base on the
I
emotion?
do, and it's probably, well, it may or may not be the ones that you want to talk about, but
No,
I
go ahead.
specifically pulled one aside that is so deep, and that's pettigrain. Because
Ooh. But
pettigrain specifically, I mean, it's good for grief, but it really goes into ancestry.
mm-hmm.
And let me pull this up on my app and see what it says. Oh, pettigrain, ancestor. Literally, that's the first word is ancestry. Pettigrain invokes a deep appreciation for positive forms of ancestral knowledge, wisdom, and family history. All individuals carry a portion of their ancestors' lives and stories within them, physically, emotionally, and through inherited traditions. Pettigrain illuminates the eternal connection to all previous generations that weaves its way through the present generation and on to the next. It reminds individuals that it was by their ancestors' sacrifice that they have the opportunity to experience this life. Pettigrain invites all to choose to honor the good that was inherited from their family and also make the path lighter for those who follow. It's a great oil in healing a complicated family history.
Yep.
It invites individuals to accept the humanness of their ancestors and to seek to learn from their mistakes, to accept the humanness. Oh my God, I just feel like this is so important as the entire world is judging each other.
Mm-hmm.
How about we're all fucking human? I really love this oil. And in my oracle deck that I wrote, I brought this in specifically in healing ancestral stuff because I thought that was really important. So we're not starting with, a simple one. I just wanted, this is the one I had set aside that I really wanted to make sure we talked
Now
about.
that's a powerful hitter. And that actually is great that you brought that out after we talked about like how I said about the process, right? Like because of like what you're saying. It's that's a heavy hitter to come out. That's why I said oh inside the beginning because that's the one oil I can straight up say I have had recommended to some of my own peeps and my families, and but not in the early stages.
Yeah,
It's when there's a certain part of their journey that they're ready for to what I say puka
yeah,
through, like go through the next levels, because they're able to handle the work. Um, for me, that is definitely one, and that is a connection to grief and also to growth, in the duality of that, because your ancestors, they make you or they break you or they do both. And that's just my own perspective from understanding Mo'oku how genealogy work and doing a lot of genealogy work for my own ohana.
yeah. And if you're not learning from them,
That part.
right? I mean, which
There
is what we
is,
had just read in the Essential Oils app is
yes. And when you
learn
think
from
about root
them.
chakra, right? When you think about your roots, it is yes, your first 7 years, but when you talked about another chakra right below, not your root, but the earth, the one
The Earth
that
Star
yeah,
chakra.
Earth star, and then of course you go up as well. Well, that's that genealogy or that cycle of ancestry, right? It's like talking about how we go back into the earth, how we come from the earth, how the elements and all of that. So we're all intertwined. And I think I love being Hawaiian in this perspective of I understand that it's all one, right? It's all part of the cosmos. It's all part of the genealogy work. And so Pellegrini is definitely one that I would actually put in grief for your top five, because you carry your mother's DNA for sure. You're held in your mother's womb. You understand her. So every keiki
And your father's
and your
DNA.
father's DNA is
Yeah.
merged into that, right? So you think of all of that, and that's your home. That's one of your first homes, right? Before you come earthbound, from sky, whichever in the cosmos, whichever you believe. And then you're into your mother's womb. You're holding some of that emotions as well, to be honest, and
Yeah.
some of those feelings. And so
Yep.
when you come earthbound, what I loved ever since I learned about doTERRA is how to bless the babies right when they come out with
Mhm.
frankincense. And that is something that, I wish I knew from my own child from birth, but I got him at like 1.5 years old on frankincense already. So that's good enough from that one. Yes. But like my other ohana, like I definitely bless the babies with frankincense. Why? Because
Love
I
frankincense.
understand that they're going to be carrying some of that energetic things all of intertwined into them, right? And so being able to protect or to pale over them as they push through. Why? Because grief grief, it goes into, like I said, for me, grieving is probably more than the fear. When I think of fear and grief, I think grieving for me is probably more bigger.
I
Especially
agree.
especially with what happened like within the last few years and the depth of openness that I had to come facing, like grieving that the island that I was raised on has definitely changed. You
Yes.
know, grieving the loss of so many things, not just homes, not just people, but really essence and also experiences, right? That was once upon a time there that was just taken away in minutes. And then also not just my own grieving, but holding space for others who are grieving
Yeah.
as well, right? So the layers of that. And then also our elements hold.
And the layers, talking about
Yeah,
layers, it's every lifetime we've
yeah,
ever had where we're holding on to trauma and
yeah,
grief. It's all coming up right now.
yeah.
So
So
it's huge.
it's huge. And I think about that because I think about pettigrain. Pettigrain is one that I actually use a lot after um the fire, even more than I already used it pre-fire, because of what I just shared. And then the one that I actually used with it as well is console. So
Yeah.
console is that's a heavy one too. But I think after the fire, that was definitely one that was given out a lot
Yeah.
to Lahaina and to Maui in general. But that one for me was one of those moments where it's blending the trees and the flowers together to where it's letting me grieve and release and feel while also still giving me hope and letting me blossom and letting me just
Beautiful.
understand that you know what? This is a reality, not fighting it. Because a lot of times when heavy things happen that shifts from the inside out, we don't want it to change. We want to hold on to what was, maybe because the memories were so amazing, maybe because it was where our safe place it was, maybe that was, our home, maybe that was just the depth of higher vibrations, right? And sometimes it's hard to grow through the changes and the shifts so easily, effortlessly, and frequently. And so console is definitely one that when yeah, it's one that not even just after the fire, but like when heavy things come, when it feels like a storm, actually, when
Yeah.
it feels like something is coming and you just don't know what to do, but you know it's coming and it makes you feel all of those things where
Yeah.
it's sad, it's like you're mourning in a way, and console is definitely one. And console is a blend. So that's probably why I really like it because frankincense, like how I mentioned, and then like how I said, the overlap, right? Because fear we had ylang ylang. Well, ylang ylang as well, also in this process of grieving, is a huge thing. And so frankincense, ylang ylang is
Will
in
you
console.
talk about layering? Because I like that. I feel like that's kind of where you're going. Will you talk about layering and why, how you do it?
Yes. Yes, so there is layers. So every essential oil is not just a mint oil, or every oil is not just a flower oil. And when you think about emotions, when you think about yourself, right, and the amount of layers or tiers or things that you have within you, you're not just one thing. And so sometimes when you go into one area, like how we're talking about fear and grief and how we talk like, oh, should we just do one other, but no, it kind of overlaps like what we were sharing. That's kind of it with the oils as well, where it's like one oil may help you with one thing, but may open up to another thing that connects to something. And so when you're able to use more than one oil to help you move through that, especially if you have the capacity for that, it lets you just like, whoa, release, grow, feel all the things. And sometimes the energies may make you tired, right? Because you did all that work, or may lead you into, oh, now I can go walk in the forest because I released all of that, or go to a sound bath afterwards, or go to the beach. It creates some type of movement. So the layering, it can be one or two. Deb mentioned earlier, sometimes I'm smelling like way more than five oils, at a time. That's the layering in just aromatic. In console, this is a layer of putting different essential oils into this one blend that now creates all of those ripple effects to be able to work in a unity to help, kind of like what I was saying about our strengths, where we can amplify it, or we can, bring it down and counterbalance it. Same thing. That's the layering of this, where these oils all now go with each other. So I also want to say this, because now in fear, I brought up rose and Hawaiian sandalwood. Yeah, Hawaiian sandalwood as the opening. In console, there's sandalwood and there's the rose flower also inside this specific blend. So that's where I understand, when you layer all of these together, you're moving, like it's like you're able to translate and transmute the feelings and the expression and the experience of why those feelings were created and were internalized some way, somehow within you, and what you can do to now move through it and to not let yourself be stuck. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
not just one thing that made that specific, right, emotion to come up or to be set within us as some type of way. So there's most likely not going to be just one oil to like help inside that process. And what I also understand is sometimes you have to mihi it, so like you have to break it up in a way, in order for you to move forward, in order for you to cross cancel out, delete, right? That emotion, that contrast, that experiences. So in order to get there, you may need a little help there. And so the layering may be what you consciously already know. And I can say that from my own perspective, where I instantly know, oh, okay, we're going into this type of ritual. If I'm doing a Kanaka Hawaii thing, I am going to most likely get prepared, because I don't want, because in rituals, you understand, hey, the vibration's gonna go up, down, side to side, all around. You never know. You never know who's in the space, what type of process is happening. So, but I do know a lot of emotions are gonna come out. We may be holding, not just for ourselves or for the people there, for the land, for the akuas, all of that. I know by nature, I have my own essential oil bag that I always bring. And if you are in spaces with me like that, I get the oils, and I got
Jenny
you. I
McPhee.
got you, if you need it, got you. There's also in moments of making sure to go into when you go into different spaces. So I'm gonna say, for like how you go and walk in Makawao, right, versus somebody who doesn't. Guarantee you can go inside there, when the
Forest.
wind, yeah, in the forest, in the Makawao forest, that when the wind picks up, oh, this may say something, or this may do something, versus someone who go over there and then they don't listen one time, or the second time, or the third time, and it's now becoming a liability or a hazard, right? You know within yourself, because you always do that, what your natural protocols will be, right? Or what would be the next steps? How do you enter into that space? What do you do when you're done? Same thing when I go and do all these rituals, or when, rituals, and I mean just like paying homage, doing prayers, going into ceremonies for the ocean, malama aina in some sort of ways. I know, okay, I do what I have got to do as Kanaka Hawaii, but I'm also aware that our culture and our islands and our just Ike Hawaii all around, it also needs aloha from the depth of people as well, to be able to love it, protect it, honor it. So I know to honor both sides, which is why I will always bring in my tea tree, like how I said. And when I mean honoring both sides, I mean like, okay, I'm going to get my tea leaf, but I'm definitely bringing in some tea tree with me because I know that that just adds the extra layer of protection for me, right? And so I understand, hey, I don't want to take I don't want to take the grieving of what that Aina is going through. So that's why I'm sharing this with you because, console, right? Like that blend and how it has ylang ylang, frankincense, sandalwood, rose. That's kind of the concept. When you're grieving, you're gonna feel all the feels, right? Like it's not cute, it's not a concrete plan. It's not clear. It's kind of chaos. It's kind of like a storm. It's kind of like
Yep.
you're just going and doing it and things are happening. So that's where the layering comes in to help because you never know if it's you, other people, the higher ups, the unseen, like how we say, you just never know. So console will be probably one of the top ones that I say because it points out all the individual oils that I would naturally say, oh yeah, that's for grieving, or oh yeah, like even Roman chamomile and geranium, you could merge that into
Uh-huh.
grieving, right? And
Yep.
so it's just like, yeah, console, but I wouldn't say console would be fear. I would say it would be grieving. So that's where it's like starting off with fear was so great for us to talk about this because then the overlap goes into grieving. But console, that blend, I would not say it would be for fear because I do not believe when someone is fearful, they have the depth of emotions, right? It's just like,
Yep.
no, we want to
No,
really,
they're shut down because they're so
yeah,
afraid. Everything's like
yeah.
clenched.
Yeah, it's like no move, it's like
Yeah.
anxiety almost, or like, oh no, I like stiff. It's almost like stiff. But console, it's like everything is being felt. It's like you're
Yeah.
grieving, you're going through the trenches, you are trying to get up above water, and you just need to grow through it, but may not know how, or may not really want to, or may just need like a essential oil blanket. That's what I would say console is. There we go.
Oh,
Essential oil blanket.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that's the oils I would say for grieving. And why? Because if you're petitgreen is one of those oils, like for real, if you want to like just hit it like and just grow through it super fast, mind over matter, petitgreen, I would say, because it unties past, present, and can help you solidify your future in that sense. The smell, it's not for the weak. Just letting you guys
Oh,
know that it is not for the weak. Okay.
like a tea tree oil. It doesn't smell like that, but it's
Yeah.
kind of that same thing. It's
Yeah.
strong.
It's strong. They're both very medicinal. There we go. It
Yeah,
feels
medicinal.
medicinal for
Yeah.
both of them. But they're really, that's where I say mind over matter, because
Yeah.
if you can like grow through that, maybe fears of like, I don't know, if you have fears of hospitals or things like that, just grow through that. I feel like petitgreen or tea tree would be helpful because they both are very strong medicinal smelling ish. Yeah, oils.
Well, I have one more oil I was thinking of, and that's neroli.
Mm,
Expel unexpressed anger and restore hope.
that's another powerful smelling oil that
Yeah. So I just
is
looked it up in the Essential Emotions app, and it's neroli is unifying and stabilizing oil. It's particularly helpful for calming troubled hearts in relationship conflict.
Mhm.
So, and here we are talking about grief. That's another really big thing that's turning over right now. And it may not be your significant other relationship. It may be relationship within your family. It may be relationship within your peer circle, people that you used to be really close to that all of a sudden you don't resonate with anymore because our
Mhm.
frequency is changing and we're not all changing at the same rate. So I think this one is quite important as well. So I'm going
I
to read that
really
again.
agree
It
with that. I
influenced,
love that.
huh?
I just want to say neroli as an oil, very, very important. I love that you brought that one. Thank you.
Yeah. And I actually really like the smell of it too. Its influence promotes harmony in the changing dynamics of long-term relationships. Ongoing partnerships require acceptance and growth. Over time, perceived weaknesses in others come into full view, and as a result, individuals can grow bitter, frustrated, unsympathetic, and create emotional distance from people they once loved and cherished. If left unchecked, these feelings can grow into dysfunctional and destructive thoughts and behaviors. Perceived stagnation in a relationship can cause despair and apathy and feed a desire to blame, punish, or escape. Alternatively, Neroli invites individuals to develop the character traits of fidelity, empathy, patience, forgiveness, and resilience to ease these relationship challenges. Okay, so what I really get out of that is that it's helping you to see the truth, that you can see clearly that you're not, maybe you're feeling really frustrated with a partner or somebody really close to you because of your own judgments, because of um your own imbalance within yourself that you're projecting onto them. Where neroli can help bring you back into balance, and maybe it actually is that you're not a vibrational match anymore, but you're going to be able to see it clearly. That's what I get out of neroli.
Yeah, yeah, yes. I love neroli. Okay, so this is
Me too.
neroli is one of those oils that you
Neroli.
definitely have to be on a journey of you're no longer going to be people pleasing so that that oil can just come into you,
Yes.
just be like,
You're going to
yes,
own your
yes,
solar plexus chakra. Yes.
yes, like it's gonna be one of those oils. And so I do now I love that you brought petitgrain and neroli up because I thought I was like, I swear in the Chinese essential oil book that I was learning with the elements that those two are paired up. And I went and grabbed the book and it is.
Oh,
So neroli and petitgrain is paired up as a blend to protect against people pleasing and builds courage. So when you think about grieving and you think
awesome.
about fear, most times when we're not speaking life into ourselves, that's where I was saying if you don't do it first, somebody else gonna do it. That part where if you don't do it, somebody else is gonna do it. And then it may go to a place like what Deb is sharing, where it's like it works out for a bit, but then when you actually step into remembering who you are and pretty much come to your fullness, your wholeness, or you're no longer afraid to be who you are. That's that bouncing out of that threshold, right? Where it's like a seesaw, where it's like, okay, if you go backwards, then you stay there. If you go forward, then you'll have a different life. That's what neroli and petitgrain combine together, and then petitgrain, no, neroli and ylang ylang on paired together as well. That is where that threshold happens when you're going from fear, grief, all of that, because you go from, okay, it's a victim or, depression, or I can't do this, or maybe like not speaking life into yourself, like I am powerful, I am smart, I am wise. And then you follow the leader in some sort of way, or you gain a confidence in yeah, people pleasing in some sort of way. When you're moving out of that, it now allows you to protect yourself against like, okay, no, I'm not people pleasing. Maybe I just didn't know better on how to protect myself or create boundaries for myself or what was right from wrong for myself. And so petitgrain and neroli combined, so talk about the layering, that helps in that process. Then you go to neroli and ylang ylang, and that one helps you grow appreciation for yourself.
Mm,
That one, and which moves you out of that the negative self-talk of self. It
yes.
moves you more into that other one where I said speaking into your life, right? I appreciate myself. I am whole. I am amazing. And I do this dot 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 every
And then you
single.
don't feel like you need to people please because you're like, no, I'm all good within myself. I'm
And
good.
it builds your foundation, that confidence of self-love, self-growth, self-awareness. And then when you build upon that, when you think about like what you said, the root chakra, right? Where this all starts, that's where it grows through. That's where it lets you like, no, I'm confident in myself because A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, I know this. I know who I am. And I think when I think about essential oils, that's what I can say that essential oils has definitely done for me, where it reminded me who I am through all anything that flies in my life, even the shifts of life, as Deb knows behind the scenes, where it's like, no, I'm gonna go and smell the oils. Y'all ain't getting me. I'm gonna go make me a spray. I'm gonna go and do
Yes.
it. I'm gonna go and take it internally.
Yeah.
And then that shifts and that naturally helps me quantum to where I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to get stuck in that. What may have caused ripple effects in the back, in the past for me, it's not getting me now. It's not punking me
Yeah.
out. It's more of an awareness of I know what to do and I know why to use these tools. And so, yeah, I'm grateful that you brought up both of them because it instantly
Awesome.
reminded me of the Chinese medicine and why they pair it up together because
I love it.
it moves you into the next chakra. There we go, right? Because
Yep.
when you think about it and we think about the emotions, oh my gosh, we could deep dive forever, you guys. So
I know. That's what I was going to say. We could go on and on and on and on and on. Might have to just go from maybe we'll do this. Maybe after we cover a bunch of different emotions, then we'll start over. Well, not start over, but then we'll go into starting with the root chakra going up
yeah, yeah,
and do a
that's
little more of that like physiology with it.
yep. And this is
Um,
but that's what I got today. But
okay.
that's when you said it,
That's
I was
great.
like, oh my gosh, this totally makes me think of the elements of the emotion and the chi and like why they paired that together.
Nice.
Good.
Awesome. Okay.
Good.
Perfect. Perfect timing. So I wanted to get back to this. Before we close, I just wanted to point this out because I wanted to do, I really wanted to use a medical intuitive deck for my own practice. And when I say my own practice, for those of you that don't know, I have an activated Stargate in my heart. I expanded around um, the field where I'm working on somebody on a table and bring the frequency up to 12th dimension, working along with my guidance, my medical team, your guidance, whoever's on my table. And and it helps to bring with that open really whatever your body is ready to release and come into balance, heal is going to happen, what you're ready for. So when I say session, that's what I mean. So I do that after clearing your biofield and working with your chakras. So I wanted to use a medical intuitive deck in my work to really start off before I even have somebody on my table, like what are some of the things that are happening in their body? And I only found one. I found one in Australia. So I'm literally hearing you need to make it. Okay. So anyway, I did. I spent the last, well, almost 2 years creating this. It's huge, as you can see. It's all alchemy. It's the Inner Alchemist Self-Healing Oracle Guide. So it's a book. And yeah, maybe this is a little bit of a commercial, but it's really not the point of it. I want you to know this because what I kept hearing the entire time I was making it is humanity needs this, humanity needs this. So it is helping me in my practice because I pull my own cards before I'm going to work on somebody, but it's 263 pages of information. And I want to just you to see the words. God, the light is really hard to see in here, but you see how you can read it? Most Oracle decks, I can't see. I'm like taking a picture and blowing it up because even with my glasses on, it's really hard to see. Sometimes the font is like 9 point or smaller. This is 11, so it's still a little small, but it's almost like a regular book size. Um, and the premise is, this is really what I wanted to share. The premise is talking about, first of all, it's got your 7 major chakras from your root to your crown, but it also has 12 more expanded chakras. So ones that start to come online when you are a frequency match to it. They end up turning on and connected to your strands of DNA that you're decoding as we're bringing all this extra light in. And that's a whole nother podcast all on its own. But there are 63 cards. So the 7 chakras in your body, there's 7 cards for each one. And here's a good one. Forgiveness as freedom. Set the waters free. It's connected to whoa, something just happened outside. Solar plexus chakra. And it's about forgiveness and setting the waters free. So every one of your chakras is connected to a system in your body, like root chakra. Let's go back to the root chakra because we talked a lot about that today. It's connected to your skeletal system, your cartilage, your joints. So people that have a lot of arthritis or a lot of bone issues potentially have been holding fear for a really long time. And it might be even from childhood. It's for a soul, it's kind of a hostile environment to come to. A lot of people get stuck in fear. So the heart chakra is not just about the circulatory system having to do with the heart. It's the lymphatic system and the immune system, what you keep out and what you allow in. But every one of the chakras is connected to a different system, and I have them all in here. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Every single card has a number of essential oils. If what Primrose and I were sharing is helpful, is useful, and you're wondering, wow, with this going on in my body or what I'm feeling, what would work? You might want to pick this up. It's just being printed, so another 6 weeks it should be out, but it is for sale on my website. It is allalchemy.com, and you'll see it, the Oracle deck. So that's it. I just wanted to briefly explain that because we kind of brought it up a few times throughout. Okay, and I know Primrose is working on one too. So I think this is going to be really fascinating when you're done, is that they're probably going to overlap and be, a whole huge, beautiful spread. And I'm excited to see what you're coming up with. All right. Well, anything else you want to share?
No, I was just saying that's so cool. Because this really tied in, and for anybody who does watch this, I just want to say none of this is planned. We are literally organic and how we do things, and when it flows for us. Where it's like, "Yup, you got your card deck. Here we go now." So I am so excited, and I'm just looking forward to us being able to deep dive in all types of different areas with essential oils again, and to be back to serve in this capacity and in this.
Me too, sister.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And we will be back. Love that. I love that. I don't know, in another week, Primrose and I will talk about it and we turn the camera off, but we'll see you soon. That I do know.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there, you know what, make a comment if there's specifically emotions that you want to talk about that we can deep dive into together. We'd be happy to go in that route next. So if you have anything you want to share with us, leave a comment. All right. Aloha.
Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.